Hey guys, it's Kat and I am back today to talk about some makeup and beauty fails. So I have been sort of putting off doing this because even though I love to point out products that aren't working for me, or on Beauty News we love to talk about products that we just think are silly releases and why are they releasing it and wasn't a great idea. But at the same time, I try not to test out crap products. So calling this video fails of 2019 is a pretty loose term because there's only a couple of products in here that were like legitimate crap products. The rest of them are products that just for some reason didn't work for me, or I expected more from the hype, or whatever it might be. They're not actually bad products. I really try my hardest to avoid buying bad products because it actually does annoy me. Like, it's a waste of money. I don't use them. It offends me. I get shitty. So I try my hardest to avoid it. So these products aren't the worst offenders in the world, but they're just products that I thought, look, I did a top products of 2019. I may as well do a bottom products of 2019 as well. All right, I want to start with a product that is legitimately the biggest fail of 2019. It disappoints me. It angers me to the point that I actually forgot that I had this because I think I just repressed the memory. But it's actually by MAC, and it's this piece of shit here. So this is the Fleur Real Highlight Powder. Now, I will put a photo on the screen of what it looked like before it's used because it looks fucking gorgeous. So essentially it's like this cherry blossom design, and it fades to this like shimmery pink to like a light sort of matte pink, and it looks like it would be the most versatile, beautiful highlighter or blush topper because you can sort of go into the really metallic area and pick up some really intense shimmer, or delve into the middle to get a mix, or to get to the, use like the matte part for more of a subdued blushy type thing going on. But in reality, it was just an overspray, and this is like a light pink matte powder that does nothing. It is the worst thing ever. They also released a gold one, which I think is just like a banana powder. They're trash. So the thing that was also really frustrating about this is it's called a highlight powder, which makes you think it's actually a highlighter. This is not a highlighter. This just makes my skin look pink. And also online, it didn't tell you that it was an overspray. So you really had to sort of, because this was a very popular, hyped up product, people were buying it online like I did, and they didn't realize until they got it that it was a piece of shit. So it was really sad, really frustrating. And I'm left with this chalky, powdery thing that, like, I remember people in the comments, we did a Beauty News video where we took off the overspray and we're like, what is actually underneath? Had people going, no, but that's supposed to be that's what it's designed to be. It's a beautiful, like, I don't know, matte highlighter. I'm like, no, it's not. It's a chalky, shitty powder that is a waste of money. So this was the definitely the biggest fail of the year 2019. That's their biggest shame. And for the longest time, I was like, MAC, you can't be trusted. So yeah, that was the worst. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to talk about that's a bit of a fail, and once again, this was not so much a fail because it was like a completely crap product. I did do a video on this, so if you want to see the items and me demonstrate the items, I'll link it down below, and I'll have a photo on the screen because I can't be bothered actually going to get the box and holding it up and whatnot. But it's Urban Decay and Game of Thrones collaboration. So Game of Thrones, it was their final season, and I think what they did was they really sold a lot of rights to alcohol companies and makeup companies and merchandise and whatnot, to really try to get their money while the season is like finishing up. Anyway, I just felt like Urban Decay dropped the ball with this. There were some really good elements to the collection. So the palette was pretty decent. The formula was nice. The pop-up was all right. Probably my favorite thing about that range was the eyeliners. So there were some really nice shades of pencil eyeliners. But then the rest of it was pretty lackluster. There was like a cheek stain, which no one asked for. There was a highlighter palette that was very average at best. There were some lipsticks that weren't that flattering, and most of them were metallic, which I didn't understand. It's not hard to get lipsticks right, especially when you're looking at things like red and nudes and stuff, but somehow they picked really not flattering shades. And then they had brushes, which were kind of cool. The handles were really cool, but if you buy it in the pack, which I did, I got the whole set, the bristles of the brushes sort of like get squashed in the pack, and I don't know. And the brushes aren't even like, you sort of think that for the price tag that those brushes had, they would have upped the quality of the bristles. They didn't. It was just standard sort of like naked palette sort of brush design, but with a fancy handle. So I don't know. I just feel like even though that was a collection that I bought because I love Game of Thrones and there were some positive elements to it, it was just overall a letdown. They could have done so much more and they just didn't. And it was a real shame because this was like the one chance that Game of Thrones with a makeup company could do something really memorable and amazing, and they delivered something lackluster. Some other things that I don't have here that I want to mention. Firstly, I tried my first Juvia's Place eyeshadow palette this year. I tried the Tribe palette. So I thought, look, greens, it's interesting. It's something I want to try. And I did do a review on it. And I think as that review went on, I realized I just didn't really like the palette. So for me, the formula was sort of like almost Colourpop formula. So it wasn't amazing. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't amazing. And also the colors in that particular palette I found clashed quite a lot. So even though I really like sort of murky green colors and whatnot, and I like oranges and I like yellows, I like all these colors that are in the palette, I just found that the colors didn't complement each other. And when you actually did mix the colors together, they sort of made a really ugly, swampy sort of look. So I wasn't impressed with the formula. I wasn't impressed with the color choices in the palette. And I actually decluttered that palette. So yeah, I think that was like, it's not the worst palette in the world at all. But again, I think because I heard so much hype about Juvia's Place and how amazing their formula was, I was just like, really? You're shitting me. And then I discovered Coloured Rain. I realized everything that I was expecting from Juvia's Place, I found in Coloured Rain. So look, that was the silver lining, was I found something way better. Yeah, Juvia's Place is not on my wish list anymore, and it's not something I'm interested in trying because I tried it and I was severely disappointed. Another general category that I really didn't like last year was magnetic lashes. So I think in 2018, I might have tried magnetic lashes for the first time, where you have the top lash and then you have the bottom lash and they magnetically clip together. They're horrible, they're clunky, they're hard to put on, they're hard to get flush to the eye, they're very heavy. They're horrible. Then in 2019, brands brought out the magnetic liner, which is a much better idea, and then the magnetic lashes attached to the liner, and that is a really cool concept and it works temporarily. But I find that with what I tried anyway, I found that when you would put the lashes on and they would clip on, within maybe half an hour, the actual magnets would start pulling the eyeliner off and then start sort of flapping because they're no longer stuck to the eye. So I think that's an area that could be improved greatly. And if it works, like if they do it well, it could be amazing. I think right now we're at the equivalent of like the brick phones. And I'm waiting for them to evolve to like a smartphone for me to want to try them again. So it's got good potential. I just don't think right now it is a smart move. So magnetic lashes in general, did not like. A brand that I experienced for the first time in 2019 was actually Farsali, and I don't like them. These unicorn essence drops aren't bad. They are essentially just a shimmery liquid serum-y type product that smells like vanilla sugar and is more of an experience than it is beneficial to the skin, if that makes sense. So I don't feel like these drops add anything to my base. I don't think they add anything to my skin. It's just that when you put them on, you go, it smells like vanilla sugar and it feels nice. So this is an experience. It's almost like dropping slightly shimmery water on your face that smells delicious. So I don't hate these, but they're not worth the money, and I don't get the trend of these. These sort of became popular online because people were dropping things on their face, and it must have been very clickable for the people that like watching women drop liquid on their face. Yuck. but I don't get it. So that I don't get. But what I probably don't like even more, because the experience isn't even great with this, is the Hydration Bay sort of mask product. So this is like a gel mask with these little balls in it. And you're supposed to put them on without breaking the balls, which is impossible to do. And then what you do is, after like 10 minutes of having like the hydration mask on, you pop the balls and you work it in, and the balls release like an oil, and you turn it into more of a serum type product. So yeah, it's like not bad in theory, but once again, I don't think it does anything. I've tried to put this on before I do my makeup in the morning, because I'm like, I should use this up, and I probably should actually put it in my project pan some point in time. But I'd like, you know, wash my face and brush my teeth and everything in the morning. I would put this on, go make a coffee, go make breakfast, feed the cats, do whatever I need to do, sit down at my computer, about to do my makeup, I'll pop the balls, put it in, and it doesn't add any benefit to my makeup. It doesn't make my skin look nicer. I don't see the point. So I just feel like Farsali is one of those, oh, this is a fun experience with nothing to back it up. So Farsali is a brand that disappointed me this year. I think I actually had a pretty good year with base products. I do have some foundation sort of products that I want to talk about that didn't impress me, but at the same time, they weren't the worst things in the world. I do want to mention the Benefit. This is the Hello Happy Flawless Brightening Foundation. It's a liquid. So prior to that, they had like a BB cream type tinted product, which was trash. I didn't like it at all. It was one of those products that you have to have perfect skin to make it look good, but then if you've got perfect skin, why are you using it? It was that kind of situation. This is a little bit more coverage, but I don't think it wears well on oily skin. I think this is not the worst thing in the world. I feel like it is a short-term foundation for me, so I can wear it on, you know, days where I'm running errands or something. So I will use this up eventually. It's not so crap that I'm throwing it out. But once you hit a certain point, like the 10-hour mark or the 8-hour mark, it just goes really oily, and I don't need it in my life. So I really haven't used this since I reviewed it. And I do actually really love the powder version. I mentioned that in my favorites of 2019. So all hope is not lost for this range. But this just didn't do it for me. And yeah, once again, I'll probably have to put that in my project pan at some point, because I don't like it. Another one that I don't like, and this actually matches a powder that I don't like. This is one that I'm going to have to test out a lot more, because I've tested it probably a handful of times and I don't like it to the point where I don't actually want to use it to test it even more. So it's a bad sign. But at the same time, I've heard some people with similar skin to me say really fantastic things about this. So I'm like, okay, I have to give it another crack, but I don't want to right now. I want my skin to look good and not struggle with my foundation. So the foundation I'm talking about is the Shiseido Synchro Skin Self-Refreshing Foundation. It's great in concept, like it's supposed to be one of those foundations that don't really break apart, because it sort of self-refreshes and sort of like, I don't know, looks good all day. For me, this emphasizes dryness that I don't have. It looks like it sits on the skin. I don't believe this is supposed to be matte, but for some reason it looks sort of powdery and yeah, like just cakey on my skin. And it's not even a lot of coverage. It's like medium coverage, but for some reason I can see my skin through it, but then I can also see that I'm wearing a powdery foundation. So this is one I have to try more, but I don't like it, and I've had it for quite some time, and a few people have asked how I'm going with it. The answer is not great. Also, this shade, which I bought online, which is 160 Shell, is too light for me. So I will probably give this another crack in the cooler months. And if I don't like it, then I will probably use it as a mixing foundation, because it's not so bad that I want to get rid of it, and it was expensive, but I just can't get behind it. Something about it that just doesn't work on me. And something that goes alongside that is the powder that goes in that range. I actually really like the concealer in that range. I mentioned it in my favorites. But this Radiant powder, firstly, you cannot get the powder out. So it's got this sort of like stocking mesh type covering, and you can't get the product out. It is impossible. I had to actually poke holes in it with scissors. So I don't know if you can see, but I had to poke holes in it to actually get the product out. Here, hopefully you can see it a bit better there. I don't know. But anyway, I had to do that. And then I try to use the powder and it does nothing. It doesn't set your makeup. It doesn't, like I know it's supposed to be a radiant powder. It doesn't add radiance to your face. It's like putting a step on that doesn't do anything. So it's a very confusing powder. It's another one that I'm going to have to try to play with a bit more, but these I've got no love for. Another thing that is really frustrating me that I have no love for, and it's annoying because I've been wanting to try this for a while, and after trying the Hello Happy powder foundation that I really like, and I just like it on a day where I'm wearing very minimal makeup or I'm wearing no makeup, but I just don't want to look sort of red and splodgy. I put a little bit of the powder on and it lasts pretty well. It gives me a nice amount of coverage for a powder, and I can sort of face the day without people being like, are you sick? What's wrong with your face? So yeah, powder foundation, I thought it's going to be a great idea. So I thought, look, I want to try some other powder foundations because the Hello Happy one that I have is a little bit too light for me. So I thought I'll try one that's like probably better tone. So I picked up the BareMinerals. This is the original like SPF 15 mineral foundation, and this shade is medium 10, which is a good summer shade for me. Firstly, it is absolutely a pain in the rear end to get out. I don't know what it is with powders, these powders not coming out of the packaging, but also I find I don't love it. So you can see in the lid that when I pour it into the lid, it sort of turns into, look, it almost turns like from a powder to a cream when you work it in with your brush. So when I'm picking it up, it sort of sticks to the lid. So unlike the Hello Happy powder, which is just like a high coverage powder that you just put on with the powder brush, this you need to use almost a foundation brush, like a really dense brush. You got to buff it in and it sort of grips and looks really patchy on the skin. But then within a couple of hours, it looks really oily on me. So this is a really weird one, hard to apply. It's not like a nice smooth powder. It doesn't last super long. Yeah, once again, it's one that I will try to use up. I'm not going to throw it out because it's not the shittest thing in the world, but goddamn, it's not a great product. And I heard so many good things about it, and I really do love BareMinerals, so I'm a little bit disappointed in this, but it is what it is. All right, last base product before we get on to some colored products. I was really disappointed in the Morphe Continuous Setting Mist. I probably got this maybe start of 2019 or late 2018, I'm not too sure, but I don't like it. I do like that it's a continuous setting mist, so it's a smart like design where it's a nice fine mist and you can just hold it down forever and it will continue to, like, it's not pumps. So I really like the packaging. I really like the design of it. The product itself is not great for oily skin because it actually, it's not designed to be a fixing setting spray, so it doesn't prolong your makeup. It's supposed to sort of tone down the powderiness, which I do really like finishing sprays that do that. So MAC Fix Plus, a whole bunch of other ones that work really, really well. The Smashbox primer water, there's a whole bunch of nice products that you spray on, takes down the powdery look of your makeup and also brings back a bit of like life. It almost makes all the products that work together and just look a little bit better. So that's the concept of this one. I just find that it makes my skin quite oily throughout the day, and it will disintegrate my makeup throughout the day. So I love the idea of this. It just doesn't work on oily skin. So that's one that I do not like. All right, onto some color products. I wanted to mention really quickly, another palette that I was a little bit disappointed with was the Riviera palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills. So look, I really like the formula of Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes like this, so I keep buying them because I know I'm gonna like the formula. I did actually avoid this for the longest time, and I think I eventually bought it when I saw it on sale. And I did swatch in store and I'm like, no, I don't need the colors. What are you doing? But I eventually did buy it. And even though it's not a bad palette, like the formula is quite nice, I just, ever since doing my review, I haven't touched this because the colors aren't something that I'm that interested in. And even if I was interested in the colors, so if I wanted to go like a bright pink, okay, cool, I might reach for this palette. fine. But overall, this palette doesn't work well together. So the issues that I have with it is this bottom row of mattes, they're quite warm toned. So you've got peach, you've got mustard, you've got a darker peach, bright pink, peachy pink, purple and brown. And then the top row, this is also, I think, a matte shade. You've got brown, you've got a sort of teal, aqua, shimmer, a pink, a sort of slate grey, bluey one, a yellow and a blue. So I really hate palettes that give you the option of mainly cool toned shimmers, but then you have to mix them with warm toned mattes. It's like palettes that have all color shimmers, but then the only mattes you can work in the crease or to complete the look are nudes. It doesn't work. You actually have to have a really nice balance of warms and cools or neutrals or, you know, colors versus nudes in both formulas to work, because I'm the kind of person that likes to predominantly put shimmer on the lid and then work mattes into the look to deepen the look, to complete the look. And I really hate having to go, oh, blue on the lid, what's the option of blending this out? Peach. Fucking why? That doesn't look good. So yeah, this concept, this color story, did not like, have not used, do not like, did review. Cool, good story, bro. The formula's fine, color story is not fine. All right, almost done complaining. I've got a couple of things left to talk about. And next on the chopping block is Colourpop. So in 2019, they re-released their pot liners, their pencil liners. They also brought out colored mascaras, felt tip liners. So they brought out a bunch of eyelining products, which is great because I like eyeliners. It's great. Now, I actually have panned a black eyeliner from the original release of these, so when they all had white lids. So they've all been re-released now to have lids that match the color inside. So purple, burgundy, that's the color that you're getting inside. Same as their pencil liners. They were all white originally, but now the color matches it. So this is a purple. So this range, I like the concept of, but I feel like it's really hit and miss depending on the shade you pick. And it's really unfortunate because in Australia and the most of the world, you can only buy these online. So you're pretty much taking a gamble, and to the point where like this purple one is so dry, it's virtually unusable. From the moment I opened this up, I had to use Duraline to actually be able to pick it up smoothly on a brush. Even then I couldn't do it. It's very, very chalky, very gritty. The color is fantastic. The color is phenomenal, but it's just not a good formula. Whereas the black I could use almost right to the end, but the purple I can't even use when it's fresh. Same as this sort of burgundy color, which is Besto. So this is Piggy Bank and this is Besto. This one is a lot better than the brighter purple, but it's not creamy, it's not super pigmented. You put it on, there's a bit of tugging, there's a bit of like effort, and for me, it's just not worth it. So these colors are the only sort of other colors I've used other than black. So right now, 2 out of 3 for me aren't good. So the strike rate is pretty crap. So I'm not going to buy more of these. The only reason I will buy more of these is if there's a color that's so phenomenal that I'm like, I will take the risk because you've got the most amazing teal or the most amazing blurple color that I've been wanting forever. I'm happy to take the risk, but otherwise, for me, these are almost unusable. The reason I've been flailing this one around as well is because this particular color, which is the color No Shame, which again is a purple. Maybe it's just the purples that are ultra crap, but this is a pencil, like a retractable pencil. It looks beautifully pigmented. Sure, it'll work nicely on the lash line. I like using these types of pencils in the waterline, and this was one of the most disappointing pencils in the waterline I've used for the longest time. I literally put on the waterline, blink, and it's gone. Like, that's how bad this was. But once again, it's got nice pigmentation, and it can work really nice on the lid, or if you want to put it in on the lower lash line, blend it out. It's usable, so I haven't thrown it out. But I really like I said, using these on the waterline, and for the waterline purposes, didn't stick and didn't stay and was one of the worst waterline pencils I've ever used. And I also wanted to mention that the mascaras, the colored mascaras, even though I do like the effect of them, a lot of them are very, very dry and flaky. And by the end of the day, you'll find little flaky bits. And if you touch your eye, it'll just like start like flaking off. So even though they have cool effects, the formula, yeah, they're not fantastic. But again, that varies wildly depending on the color you have. I've got a brown mascara from the range. It works nicely. It's just a brown mascara. I've got a blue one that looks awesome, is flaky. And I've got a purple one that looks average and is flaky. So once again, it's the luck of a draw. And I feel like the really interesting colors in these ranges are the ones that don't work the best, which is really frustrating. I understand that the amount of pigment you need to use does make the product drier and flakier and crumblier. But if you can't get the formula that works really well, like don't release that color until you can. Like, I don't know. I feel like the only ones that work really nicely are like black and brown and the standard colors, but you can go anywhere and get black, brown liners and mascaras. It is what it is. All right, the last thing I want to mention that is a disappointment to me, and this was a bit of a splurge, I'm very sad. So Tom Ford, I bought this lip color. This is the Infatuate Vinyl. So it's a vinyl lip product in the shade Infatuate. Luckily, I bought this at the Estee Lauder corporate store. It still cost me a pretty penny, maybe like 40 Australian dollars or something. But I didn't have to pay the 60 or whatever it was full retail price. So yeah, it still stings, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been. But I mainly bought this because I love this color and I've been looking for this color just anywhere in a formula that isn't like dry and crumbly. And I thought this vinyl one, okay, it's gonna look high shine, but it's gonna be like beautiful. And if you swatch it, you're like, the color is great. So I don't like nudie pinks, but bright, vibrant pinks, especially for summer, you know, and spring. So you have a bit of a bronze sort of face going on, goldy bronze eyes, and then like this pop of pink is like, it's such a nice alternative to a bright red. But the problem with this product, and once again, I'm not gonna throw it out. I'm going to have it there begrudgingly and use it on camera occasionally and try to really make it work. But this vinyl just doesn't settle down at all and it transfers like nobody's business. So like it will take probably 2 hours for it not to transfer everywhere. You know, if you're drinking on your cups, it's going to smear everywhere. If you're talking, you have to like check to make sure it's not all over your teeth. It's just a really, really smudgy, smeary product. And I don't think there's any excuse for it because I've tried a lot of vinyl lip products that even though they have that high shine finish, they stay on your lips. This does not stay on your lips. It goes everywhere. Look how beautiful it is though. Fucking... All right, that was a bigger whinge session than I expected it to be. Again, these products aren't the worst products in the world except for the MAC. This thing has no purpose at all. Everything else, it's all subjective. Some things will work for you. You'll like color stories. You know, your skin will like this. But these didn't really work for me and they disappointed me is the point of it. So anyway, those were my fails of 2019. I'm sure there's more that haven't come to mind. People might be like, Kat, what about that thing that you bagged? And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. But the harder it is for me to find fails, the happier I am because it means I'm not buying crap. So hooray, hooray for that. So I'd love to know what your fails of 2019 were. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.